Three, two, one.
I think this is episode 27 of DJ Talks. It's been a while, so I don't remember. But my name is Johnny.
Hey, what's up? I'm Dan.
Do you remember what episode it is? I'm not even trolling. I actually don't remember.
I think it's 27. I think we got
Okay.
27 going.
I think it's 27. I hope it's 27. But if it's not, then who cares? You're getting a new episode anyway. But what's up, guys? So this week, our episodes are going to be a little different. This is totally my fault with like scheduling and stuff, but I was just really busy leading up to the last week because of Pax South. So I was there for work. I hosted an event there, but I was also exploring my first PAX. So the scheduling and the upload is going to be a little different. So we're actually recording this the same day we're going to upload it. By the time you're watching this, it's Tuesday, January 16th. So whenever you watch this, usually we record our episodes like a week or so, like maybe 5 or 7 days in advance. But so timing is going to be weird. The reason why I mentioned that is because your comments for next week's episode won't be read until the following episode, because we're also going to be recording again today to make sure that we're on schedule. I'm only telling you all this because I don't want you to feel like your comments are like not noticed or not acknowledged. So thanks for being patient with that. That's totally on me for like the weird scheduling thing. But yeah, so I was going to talk to Dan about my experience at Pax South, but really I wanted to talk about like a couple things that I took away from being there. There's some really cool things that I learned there, and some really cool people I met. So outside of just like telling you about like what I did and my experience with it, I think that there's some really cool takeaways that I got that's relevant to like working in the gaming industry and also just being at these kinds of conventions. Dan, anything you want to share?
I've only heard a lot about PAX. As a gamer, I watch a lot of streamers, video, like YouTubers, and a lot of times big names go to PAXs, and there's, I think, multiple different corners of PAXs. You can have like PAX East, PAX like South, PAX West, right? Something like that. You'll explain more about it, but huge gaming things where I would love to go one day, but they sell out actually pretty quickly. So if you are a gamer, I mean, probably the most popular ones are like PAX Main. There's like a main PAX somewhere in LA.
It used to be called PAX Prime, and that was in, I think it was Seattle. Now it's called PAX West. So that's what you're thinking of.
Okay, PAX West. So
yeah,
probably one of obviously because West Coast is best coast. No, just like West Coast is gaming coast there.
Yeah, so saturated with all of the companies and the pro gamers. Like they're all over there.
So yeah, I mean, huge thing. I'd love to hear a lot about the experiences, just to, I guess, get a preview of what is to come if I ever do go.
Yeah. So I guess like to start things out, I'll just be forward and say that my goal is to convince anyone watching that it's worth it to go. Especially if you're a gamer. I guess if you don't really consider yourself a gamer, then it's like it's up to you. It's like one of those conventions that I feel people would enjoy if they weren't gamers, if they went with friends. But like whether or not you go, I mean, obviously you want to go with friends, but the bottom line is that I think gamers should go to a PAX at some point. And I think that I really want to hit on the things that like I took away from the event that would give me reasons to go back. So standard disclaimer, I guess. My trip to PAX was paid by TESPA, to PAX South anyway. I am going to be going to PAX East. That is something that I'm paying for on my own. But my experience going to PAX this time, I think that if I had to pay to go to PAX South, which I did calculate the cost and stuff, I still would have gone, and I think it still would have been pretty good. But just wanted to preface with that before I jump into it. So for those of you that don't really know what PAX is, PAX stands for Penny Arcade Expo, except the Expo is like literally an X. I was reading up online about like the history of them, and they started in 2004 with a Penny Arcade company, or like website or whatever. They put up like comics and stuff, and like they were just like, they didn't really have, I don't really know what they do honestly, but they call themselves the Penny Arcade, and I think that they're a website like mostly for gamers. I've gone to there before. They have like arcade comics, arcade themed comics or like game related comics they could like download or print out. They're supposed to be funny and stuff, and that's just a meme game culture. So they started in 4 or something, and then their goal was to create a convention that gamers could go to, because you would have like your Comic Cons and other conventions that were like anime conventions are really big, or like other hobby specific conventions, but there are no conventions for gamers, which is what PAX wanted to achieve. So previously known as PAX Prime, PAX West happens every year around like I think August or September, and that's usually in Seattle. There's a PAX South, which has it's newer. They started like just a couple of years ago, and that happens. Well, this year happens in San Antonio. I actually don't know when it happened previously. PAX East happens in Boston this year. There's also PAX Australia, PAX Unplugged, which happens in Philadelphia, and then PAX Developer, which I guess is like supposed to be for devs to get together and talk about the games.
Mm-hmm.
But you walk into PAX, and in the expo hall, it's just a ton of indie game developers. You have some big name game developers, and then you have some really familiar companies that'll have like booths and lounges for you to check out. So like Discord will have a lounge there for you to like go and like get some t-shirts or like play a couple games there and like meet Discord staff. I saw really big Geico was there, and they hosted a Hearthstone tournament. You'll also see like really big games that people would want to demo that are coming up. Like Monster Hunter World was a really big title that we saw that I got to play, which is pretty dope. I know it comes out this week for console. It didn't come out till like much later in the year, but I really wanted to play because my friends and I are thinking about getting the game, and it's just like a really big MMO. So that was a lot of fun. But then you'll see a bunch of other indie game developers where they just have like TVs and couches set up, and you like literally just sit down and play and check out the game, which I really, really like now more than ever. I guess I'm biased because I didn't go before I owned a Switch, but now that I own a Nintendo Switch and Nintendo has opened the floodgates to like letting indie developers publish games on their platform and indie eShop, I think it's really exciting that I get to try out some of the future titles that I might want to consider getting on the Switch. Live in person, talking to the person that like made the game or like is marketing the game at PAX South, which I think is really cool. So there are like a lot of really cool games you could play. There's going to be a ton of panels where you'll have like pretty noteworthy people attending. One of the coolest panels I attended was called Variety in Esports or Varsity in Esports or something. And like one of the co-founders and directors of Tesla was actually there, as is a guy from NACE and a couple other big esports or like collegiate esports focused companies. There are also other panels where people got to talk about like how to set up a stream, how to make the most of going to PAX, what it's like getting a job in a gaming industry in general, how to deal with depression and anxiety with video games, or even like one of my favorite ones was like a Pokemon specific one. So they have like really cool panels, and then they also have like a ton of tournaments. The competitive scene there is pretty cool. PAX South, I don't think has as many tournaments, but they host a variety of tournaments. Like I mentioned, Geico hosted a Hearthstone tournament at the PAX Arena. They hosted a Smash Invitational, so you got to see live, like in person, a bunch of big name players. I know like C9 Mango was there. I didn't see them myself, but I heard that players like Hungrybox and Mewtwo King were there. So you had like really big Smash players, which is really cool. They also hosted a Smash 4 event. I didn't know any of those players, but it was still cool watching those events live. And I think go ahead.
How big was PAX here? Size-wise, how many people do you think actually roughly? Obviously, it was a big convention hall. So people who aren't familiar with probably like the Rosemont, where ASIN was here in Illinois, how big compared to that size of a convention?
I'm looking at the attendance because I actually don't know. So like it was busy enough to where like you just walking around everywhere and it felt really crowded, and it was like you had to get in line for all the big stuff, but like the small stuff you didn't necessarily have to wait in line for because like there wasn't as much like I don't want to say there wasn't as much interest, but it was enough to where like you didn't have to feel bad for like waiting in line for too long. So I just did a quick look online, and I haven't really found anything yet. But I just try to see if like there's a number that I can go with. I really don't know. If I had to ballpark, I would say like maybe 30 or 40,000 people were there.
It just felt.
I know that
pretty
PAX West has record like attendance of like 70 to 80,000 people. What's really nice about PAX South, I guess, is that it's one of the smaller PAX festivals, so you don't see like there are still a decent amount of people there, but the lines don't feel terrible to stand in. But like going at times of like high volume, you will like see a line for like all the popular stuff. So there was that. But yeah, then there is a tournament area, and then one thing that's really cool about PAX South is that apparently in the South region in general, there's like a really big board game scene. I didn't know that. Like tabletop is huge there, so there's like a huge dedicated area. I would say that there are hundreds of tables dedicated, just people being able to sit down and play board games. You could like go show people, show the PAX staff your badge and like rent out board games and like check them out. So that was really cool. But just being there was like really interesting because it didn't feel like super esportsy the way I know PAX kind of like sometimes comes off based on like what you see online. But there was like a lot of really cool stuff to do, and it was like hard to be bored. Okay. I guess.
Yeah. How long is the event?
So PAX South is 3 days long. It goes Friday, Saturday, Sunday. PAX East, I know, is 4 days. It goes Thursday through Sunday. I think PAX West is either 3 days or 4 days. I would say 4 days. I think it's probably 4 days because it's much bigger. But yeah, so what's different about PAX South that I wasn't really used to is that they don't have a lot of overnight programming. I know that I've been to conventions like Anime Central and DreamHack. Both of those had a decent amount of overnight programming where there wasn't a ton going on between the hours of like midnight and I guess like 7 a.m. But there were still opportunities for people to like go and chill somewhere. Most of the buildings were still open. Obviously, the expo halls are closed because that's where like a lot of vendors are and like they have a lot of valuable equipment. But also because like they're doing a lot of like sales and they want to like represent their company, so they're not gonna always be there. But a lot of the open areas are generally open. Like I know DreamHack Denver, they had like the BYOC area was open 24 hours. Bring your own computer for those of you that don't know. At Anime Central, they're always playing anime like all night, so people could like stay up and watch anime. They also had like rooms and like an arcade area where you could play board games or play arcade games, and that was open most of the time. PAX South didn't have anything open past midnight, from what I understand, which I guess kind of is like, it's whatever. It would have been really nice if I could have like stayed up much later playing board games with my friends, but I also realized like if you're trying to check out board games and you're trying to maintain the venue, then you should have closing hours. So that was kind of like something that I wasn't too happy about, but like I also realized like why they did it, so that's whatever.
But this is like any other convention where you do kind of go to where you do get hotels on the side, you can hang out with friends, you have exactly what you said, panels and things to check out, merchandise to buy.
Oh yeah.
Tons
Absolutely.
of merchandise to buy, games to play. What were the people like there that you actually got to meet, and what like you saw? Were they picturesque, kind of like geeky, nerdy, kind of exactly what you might think a gamer is, or is just regular people that same as always?
That's a really good question. I think that there are some people there that were obviously what you would expect when you think about your stereotypical nerd, where they're just like they don't know how to socialize really. I remember there was one girl like I was standing behind her and she just smelled really bad, so that kind of sucked. But in general, I mean, obviously those are exceptions. In general, the people there are really cool. They're really chill. I know that like just like in general, my day-to-day in Chicago is very I don't want to say it's like cutthroat, but like running into people or walking past someone, I say excuse me or sorry. I don't always get like much of a response to like this fucking idiot's like running past me or whatever to kind of catch his train. But like at PAX, like whenever I would say excuse me, people like turn around and oh no, don't worry about it. They're like really friendly. I was waiting in line to get into like a panel, and a friend of mine and I were like just chilling. We started playing Mario Kart, and we invited someone to play with us because like she looked bored, and we were just talking about it. It's like a really nice atmosphere where people kind of like joke with each other, and it didn't feel like super aggressive. I guess it was really nice because you kind of realize that people there have different backgrounds of what it means for them to be a gamer, but they still appreciate the same things you do. Like there's one girl that I met at the airport. She's like super excited because she got to meet some of her favorite YouTubers who were at PAX South, but they were Minecraft YouTubers. And I'm like, I'm not a big Minecraft person myself, so I like no idea why she was like so excited. But then when I met people that were more along the lines of collegiate esports, and those people excited me, then I can make that connection, like meeting them in real life as to like what I've heard online about them is probably the same thing for this girl. I mean, she was obviously younger. She was there with her mom. But it was probably really exciting for her to meet like some of her favorite personalities, celebrities online in real life. So in general, I think it was really easy to connect with people and to talk to them. When I was waiting in line to play Monster Hunter World, that line was like 2 hours long. Like people really wanted to play the game. The setup was also huge. Like that is big ass like dragon like coming out of the booth. It was really fucking cool to see. I think that it was just kind of lucky that I ran into these guys. They were at the TESPA event that I hosted, which I'll talk a little bit about later. And I just happened to run into them, and they were talking to this girl in line who was kind of like making sure the line was okay. And she was like, I would say like, I don't want to say moderating isn't the right word, but it's like she was just keeping people in check and make sure they're in line. She was really cute, by the way. But anyway, so I was just talking to these dudes, and like my friend and I were talking to these two dudes the entire time in line, and the hour flew by. I didn't wait the entire 2 hours they did. I kind of jumped in. I didn't cut the line, but they do this thing where like they'll stop people from getting in line at a certain point to minimize wait time. So then like they see, oh, the line, they close the line up until a certain point so that they could do the other stuff and then come back and then maybe they can get in line later. Just as a way to like manage space and manage how long people are waiting in line to play the game. But the entire hour I was in line with these guys, it just flew by because we were like trolling and we are talking about like our jobs at TESPA, and they were telling us about like their gaming communities at home, and stuff like that. So in general, I found it really easy to socialize with people, and it was really, I guess it was nice because everyone in general is really friendly. I guess that segues really nicely into like what I did for work there, and that was our TESPA meetup. So I talked previously about my experience with having run an event at DreamHack Denver, but for those of you guys that don't know, basically TESPA will go to like major events and host like casual networking events for collegiate student leaders in the esports space or members of those communities and those clubs to come out, meet each other, especially if they're from different universities, to play games with each other, to meet people from TESPA. And I was helping out with running the event at Pax South. So that was also really cool. I got to see a lot of people that weren't necessarily collegiate games, but also just like PAX attendees in general. They heard about the event, probably attracted by the fact that there's free food and drinks and like random giveaways. But it was also really nice because I just got to like talk to people. Like I got to talk to a guy that worked for like a game developer company. I got to talk to a guy that was like one of like ranked 4.2K, I think, SR in Overwatch, and he's like trying to stream. He's like on his collegiate team, so he's telling me about experience there. I was talking to other guys from like other collegiate organizations and companies that were like trying to push esports forward the way TESPA does. So, or like not the same way, but you know, in the same world. So it was really cool being able to meet them and like talk to them about my experience and my perspectives on what I want to do with TESPA, and hear from them like what they see the future of esports looks like from their perspective. I think that there were some instances where it was like harder to talk to people where maybe they didn't play the same games as you, or maybe they were just like super shy. Like that really cute girl that was moderating the line that I told you about. She was telling us about how random people were like have a really hard time going up to her to talk to her about like waiting in line to play Monster Hunter. Like they would have questions for her, but then they wouldn't know how to approach her. Maybe it was just because she was really pretty. Maybe it was because it's like they don't know how to socialize. I would say it's probably both. So I guess that you had a little bit of that, but like it's not a super big deal. I think that like in general, if you go in with an open mind and you play games, then you'll probably have a good time. Whether or not you're like spending a ton of money merchandise or like just going to like panels where you can like meet with other people that have the same interests as you.
Yeah. So I mean, now that you mentioned that, what kind of panels were there that you could actually see? Were there a huge variety of kind of more so indie games? Because you say obviously PAX South was a little bit smaller, I guess, considered in the gaming industry, a little smaller, low-key, a little bit more. But the panels are something interesting where people enjoy it to a degree. So they only like to obviously go to the ones that any type of convention, they either connect with specifically, or there's some famous person that's actually speaking, or somebody that they really like, YouTuber, famous person, something. What kind of panels were there, and were they a good mix for every type of audience?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I'll start by saying that PAX South and Anime Central both do this they both put their schedules on a platform called Guidebook. So they put their schedules on. You could download the app on your phone. Everything that happens is on there. The event coordinators can update things live to let you know, like, if a panel or event has been canceled, if they're editing, like, oh, this panelist can't make it. Maybe the times get changed. But it's really easy because you can scroll through there and see, like, if you want to search only panels, you could like check all the panels. If you want to see like when the next Magic the Gathering booster draft is happening, you could like check it out there. If you want to know like when the semifinals of the Smash Invitation are happening, you can check it out there. So it's really nice to like scroll through and see all of the panels that were happening. They had a decent variety of panels, I think. I went to 3. One of them sucked. One of them was pretty good, and one of them I learned a lot. So I think that it's really hard for. I met the director of the panel manager, I guess, during a business meeting, and he kind of was hinting at like how difficult it was to like get quality panels, because generally you'll either have like someone really famous there, a really hot topic, or both. The panels that have like huge attendance will have both. Right. And the panels are like mediocre attendance, or like, you know, will do pretty well for the most part, will have one or the other. There's some panels that are like super weird and may be a little more outlandish, where the manager might be like, you know what, you're approaching me with this like really weird topic on like collectible pin backs. So I don't know if you're aware, Dan, but like collectible pins are really popular. This isn't exactly a pin, but I'm just talking about enamel pins like these are really popular. So like maybe he's talking specifically about like pins and like the little rubber backs on them or something. I don't know. If it's like an oddly specific topic that people might be interested in, that they might have a couple of those there. But you have like a pretty wide variety of panels that you could check out. The 3 panels that I went to see were in order. Variety and Esports was the first one. Streaming 101 was the second one. And Pokemon, the World of Pokemon, was the third one. I will say that I added more panels that I wanted to see. Those weren't the only ones that I was interested in. There's one about like turning your hobby into a career, and like what are some different things that you could like explore. There's one about like anxiety and depression and how like you could turn that into a good thing with video games. There's another one about the world of Legend of Zelda and what we might expect next with the latest hit, Breath of the Wild. And these are all things that I wanted to check out, but in my guidebook app, I would only insert, like, I would just put a bunch of stuff that I would want to see, but like if there's nothing I was doing at the time, like if I wasn't like playing the game demo or if I was bored, then I'd refer to it and maybe go. But these are the 3 that I went to. So the Variety in Esports was really cool. Like I said, Director of Tesla was there, Director of Nace was there, and some other individuals who were just talking about their experience. Oh, right. There was also a representative from the University of California, Irvine Esports program who was there. And Irvine, if you don't know, has like a huge esports program, like blew up. Like it absolutely blew up because they have their own arena and they have like classes and they pay the students to like do esports work. It's really cool. So like hearing from them was really interesting because I guess professionally it was really cool to hear about things that I could be doing or perspectives that I could take on where the future of collegiate esports might look. I think that was the one where I like learned a lot. The one that sucked was Streamy 101. You had like a bunch of streamers that like I've never heard of, which is like not a big deal. But it was just really boring, and they were talking about their experience streaming on a platform called Mixer, which I had never heard of. I don't think that's a bad thing. I think Mixer is a direct competitor to Twitch, from what I understand. But it just felt like the panel was just kind of boring, and I just wasn't engaged with the audience as I hoped to be, or not the audience, the panelists as I hoped to be. I know that others around me were more engaged, and they maybe have heard of some of these streamers before. The entire room was filled. This is the only panel that I went to where the entire room was filled. The only reason why I think the Variety and Esports one wasn't filled is because it was like the first one on Friday morning, and most people will attend to panels on Saturday. But but that was just, I don't know, it was just kind of lame. And the only thing that was cool was that they gave away selfie sticks to everybody that attended, so I went home with a selfie stick, so that's cool.
Nice.
The one that was fun was a Pokemon panel, and the reason why this was good was because I engaged with them. So you had like a Pokemon YouTuber, a Pokemon TCG online streamer, you had a Pokemon Go streamer, there was a video game championship, like the competitive video game series, a player and commentator, and you also had a Pokken tournament player. So there's a ton of different perspectives, all of whom were really interesting to me, but during the panel, I was able to ask them some questions because about a year ago from now, it's really funny because like Dan, you and I have been talking a lot about like how, or you and I have been playing a lot of Pokemon Sun, Ultra Moon. Probably you more than me actually lately.
Right.
Good job on completing Pokedex, by the way. That's like fucking dope. I had a feeling you would do it before me, but like I'm really happy that you did because it's just a really good feeling when you complete it. But anyway, so about a year ago from now, I really wanted to consider like creating Pokemon content and uploading it to YouTube. Like whether that was streaming stuff from the 3DS or maybe like trying to get good at Pokemon Showdown or random things like that. But I couldn't really do it, and I was just really easily discouraged. I didn't have a plan. But I asked them about it. I was like, hey, look, so I don't really know why or how to like get into the streaming space, like, or how to like create content. You know, I'm just some like 5'6" Asian dude without really any like real redeeming qualities, and I'm not that good at the game, or like, you know, specifically about the trading card game online. I also said like when I look at other people that are posting stuff online, you know, they have like really cool shiny cards in game, and I'm gonna be like some random fuckboy with comments. Like, why would people want to watch me? And at the end of the conversation, they were talking about like how like they would, because they saw that I was like interested and they liked me, like in my interactions with them, that they were willing to like support me. They told me to message them on Twitter and like they'll help me make overlays and that they'll maybe even like host my stream if I was streaming. So I was like, what the hell? This is like super nice. Like these guys, like all of a sudden, they don't know who the fuck I am, but they're like super willing to help me out. And like it was funny that Dan, that you asked me like about the people at PAX and like what they were like, because I think this is like a highlight for me where like these random people that I've never talked to or met before, you know, I didn't even know who they were like going in. They're just like super willing to help me out, and they're like really kind. One of the guys that told me that he would like help me, I went on his stream and then I won a giveaway that he was just giving on like digital online booster packs for the game. So I'm like, this is really nice. That was the one where I had the most fun, I guess. And I get like, it was just really nice for me to take away that there are people here, even in this space, where like they want to help you. And they may not be the size of like Scar, I'm a Cutie Pie, you know, or Thorin. They might not be putting out content with like tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of views, but they're willing to help and they support you. And I think that it's really important to build those relationships in the space, in the world of gaming, if you like you care about it. So that's something that I like really took away from my experience there. And I don't know, I just thought it was like, how often are you gonna meet random people that like really support what you want to do?
And you connected with them so much because this is a game that you're really passionate about as well. So that's actually something that I feel like you can probably find, based on what you have said, at all these PAXs as well. You'll find a lot of people with very similar interests as you, or very common goals, or very passionate people towards very similar interests. And that's something that probably feels great based on where we come from, right?
Yeah.
So we're not very connected with our community, or as connected, right? We don't share as many similar interests as some of the people that we do either work with or see or consistently communicate with on an everyday basis. Even our friends that we consider probably don't have as similar passions as us. So that's something very cool that I actually definitely would love to check out, and seems like just the people themselves are amazing.
Yeah, that was really cool. That was like a really big takeaway for me. Like, wow, there are people that are willing to support you. I guess you should just ask and like reach out to them. And I think there's a lot to. I mean, Dan, you at one point like you were streaming and like uploading stuff to YouTube too. I think that. I mean, like personally, from my perspective, I think that your content had like a ways to go and like how you're developing yourself. But at the same time, like you're pretty consistent for a while with what you're doing, and I think that you did develop like a pretty solid following. So, I think that's something that maybe you could have like continued with. I was the same way though. Like I did that a little bit for League, and as soon as I got my first toxic comment, I quit. It was pretty bad. So, it just kind of sucked.
Yeah, streaming is tough just because the consistency and being burnt out. Like the streamers, you have no idea. The streamers that actually stream every single day consistently, same game over and over, or even variety streamers, 10 hours a day. It is tiring because that is your job, and I appreciate and I can actually really kind of see what their lives are like, and it's tough. Even like 2 or 3 hours a day is you'd think that it's a lot, but or you'd think that it's nothing, but it's actually quite a bit. So streaming 101.
Yeah. So like at some point I might want to like try to stream. Like I really enjoy like these super casual podcasts, but maybe like along the lines of like what I want to try, I might do like a solo podcast, or like I might just like stream like me playing Pokemon online because I think that's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Or like other like random stuff that I might want to explore just because I can. So I think that was something really big that I got from that. I think it was also really cool that like I got to try out so many like random indie games because I am usually drawn to AAA titles that are from franchises that I've heard of before, like Zelda, Mario, and shit like that. But like there are a couple really fucking cool games that I played that like haven't even come out yet, or are eventually gonna like make it to Steam, make it to the Switch, and things like that. One of them that was really dope was called Just Shapes and Sounds or something, just something like that. But it's basically a rhythm a game where like you're like a little shape and it's a space, like it's like spaceship sort of thing where like you're moving around a screen to like avoid getting hit by like lasers and projectile and like gunshots and stuff, but all the stuff that comes out is following the rhythm of some like EDM song. So it's like the beats dropping and like a boss monster comes out and you're trying to fight it and avoid its punches and stuff, or like, you know, these lasers will show up like following the beat of the music. It is so dope. And there are also like other random games that I play where it's like telling you the story of like this guy trying to make it across the country, but like creepy fucking aliens are like after him. They're just like, oh, holy shit! I can't believe I didn't talk about this. I mean, I mentioned it earlier, but like the pin culture is also really big.
Right.
But there are a ton of people that will like go and collect pins and like play games just to get a pin because like you get it for playing. That's like super random, I know, but is that something that you're interested in? All like those little enamel pins?
I've actually seen them a lot. I personally haven't been like super interested in collecting them, but I have a couple of them here or there. And I've definitely seen people with like backpacks or with shirts that or jackets that
like
actually covered in them. Like
yeah,
they're just everywhere, and it looks super cool. Like it's something that's showcases their own personality and their own interests. So
yeah, I think it's really cool. There are like tons of people that had like binders and binders of pins, and they're like setting up booths and they're like trading with people. So I thought that was cool. But yeah, in general, I think that like, oh man. Oh, I guess one more thing to note is that different PAXs have different focuses, and I think that there are different like atmospheres that you get from PAX. So PAX South, from what I've heard, is smaller, more indie focused, and has a lot of board games. PAX West, I think, is a lot more celebrity focused, where you have like a lot more big personalities and players show up. So that's where you'll go. It's like get shit signed or like meet your favorite players and things like that. I don't really know what PAX East is like. I know it's huge, like really big, but I don't know anything about it. All I know is that I have tickets and that I'm going. So I guess I'll tell you what that's like when I get there. But I don't know. I think that like just being in that convention space where like you're surrounded by a ton of people who want to play the games you want to play and that really care about you and support you, and like you can offer something to them for them to take away is really nice. Like just being able to interact with people and see that they get excited in the weird way about weird things the way you do about your like favorite games and stuff. Like you're talking about, Dan, like even in friend groups, like people have different game experiences and preferences, but seeing people get excited about maybe the same things you do is really cool. So I had a really good time at PAX, and I think that the people I was with like made it a lot of fun. I spent a lot of time with like a friend of mine from TESPA, and I also just got to like walk around, like meet a bunch of people that I hung out with at my TESPA meetup, or like just randomly that I met. I ran into one guy that I knew from U of I. I met a girl at Discord who is mutual friends with our first guest host or guest speaker, Sal. So like there are just a lot of people that you can meet there, and you never really know who you'll run into. But in general, I think like it's really worth going if you want like just a weekend to get away and to be surrounded by people that love the same thing you do.
And there you go. That sounds amazing. It sounds like you had not only a lot of fun, but you actually learned a lot at the experience. You got to meet a couple new people, right? That can kind of maybe be friends in the long term here. DM them on Twitter.
Yeah, I already hit him up on Twitter, so like I've been talking to some of them, and it's pretty cool just to see like that they actually respond and that they're real humans, and it's like there's some deity in the sky, like the way I see like some of my favorite personalities. So,
any final closing thoughts on PAX?
I think that conventions like these are really like they're just super valuable ways to spend time. I think if it's focused on something that you care about. So, like I go to ASEN mostly or Anime Central because like I have a lot of fun with my friends that I know, and I don't know, I think anime cosplay is cool, so I go, and like that kind of stuff that they sell is really nice. And being able to go like gaming conventions, like I know that not everyone can afford stuff like this. Pax South is actually one of the cheaper conventions to go to, from what I understand. Let me see, a 3-day badge was like $50 or $60. The flight was around like $150, and you have to get a hotel, which you can like share with friends or something. So in general, it's like not terribly expensive. I obviously like Seattle or Boston would be more expensive than San Antonio, but I don't know. I think that like these kinds of events are really valuable. And like if you do have the time and like money's not a problem, then you should go. And if like it's something that you really care about, but money is a problem, then I would say like save for it. Just because I know that's like really shitty advice, I guess, but like in my opinion, this is something that it's worth investing in for whatever reason it is. But I guess I want to leave you with just the fact that like being in that space like that is really you'll feel good about it when you leave if you know that's something you love. And I think a lot of us feel pressure from society that gaming is a waste of time and a waste of space. If you feel that it's not, and you feel that it's something that you should embrace more of, then you should go.
Sounds good. Other than that, we had, a couple comments here or there. Thank you for viewers for watching, listening to us in your car ride to work, or listening to us randomly anywhere else. So we did have a couple comments. I believe Jasper commented on thank you for watching, and once again, Kevin, thank you for continuing to every single video.
Yeah, I had what's it called? Jasper actually talked to me about his thoughts on our video on microtransactions. He talked about how he felt the same way, that they're inevitable, but that some companies will handle it better than others. Especially, he said, when they maintain gamer trust. So like the idea of adding DLC for like a low price, but like giving you a lot more stuff to do, like maybe adding a story to the game or like a different layer of depth is really valuable. Whereas other companies like might not be as good because they like clearly in it just like to milk their players, right? So
like a quick transaction versus something that actually feels like they put time and effort into it. So
yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you for your comment there. We actually really do appreciate it. So other than that, like it, comment, subscribe, whatever you have to do on this video as well. And you guys will see us next time.